Good time zone, JDs and Lentilmen. Welcome to Iodine. I'm your host, Benny. And today we are doing some writing. So let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? Boom, 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 boom. What the hell? Something just popped up for like a second, but what the hell was that? All right, let's catch up, shall we? By doing this. Sorry to hear that, Matt.
As I mentioned before, birthdays weren't exactly a thing for me. At the time, I barely knew what a birthday was. Of course, I knew that the age of a person was important for tracking milestones, but celebrating a birthday and giving and receiving gifts wasn't exactly a part of my curriculum. I wasn't sure people still tracked their age much after leaving Earth. And even if I did celebrate my birthdays, I wasn't sure when I was born in the first place, and I'm pretty sure even Cain didn't know. Nevertheless, one day, instead of breakfast, the only thing I found next to the food slot was a 200mm shard of plasteel-edged carbon fiber perfectly molded to fit my hand. It was a perfect replication of the combat knife I preferred in VR training. I didn't believe it at first, assuming it might be some air trick or something, but when I realized it was real, I couldn't help but feel like I had been given a gift. It was only when I realized that I was no longer being given food that it felt less like a gift, and more like a test. Not long after I had been given the knife, I noticed that I no longer had access to Pixa, or the rest of my BSI. The prospect of dying of starvation or dehydration crossed my mind very quickly. I couldn't even be sure whether the air was still recycling, and if it wasn't, I may have only had another day or so of breathable air. But I also couldn't be certain that I wasn't still being watched. All of this consideration was done as I did some close combat drills with my new knife. I made sure not to let on that I was worried, or had even noticed that I was given no food. I continued with my normal routine until nightfall and began my next night cycle. I feigned sleep for about an hour before slowly and carefully slipping my way out of my sheets and under my bed, doing my best to not make any noticeable movements. I had wondered for years whether the vent could be my way out, but had nothing I could use to remove the screws. Now I did. By that time, I had pretty much grown to full size, but I remember thinking that if I had grown any more, I would not have made it out. Even now, after everything that's happened, I still have dreams of getting stuck and dying in that vent. The moment I was able to kick off the cover on the other end and into the hallway outside my room, I had never felt so free. From that point, I had only two choices, right or left. It's another thing that I dwell on frequently. If I had chosen the path down the right, I would have moved toward the exit, and things may have been very different, but I decided to go left instead. I had no idea what it would mean. I'm not sure how long I walked the halls of that facility. It felt like hours, but I doubt that it was really that big in hindsight. It was just the first time that I was able to freely move around in a space that was larger than my room. Eventually, I came upon a control room of sorts. The overhead lights were off, as they were in the rest of the facility, but the glow of the displays covering the far wall flooded the room and the hallway outside its entrance. Each of the displays contained a different view of my room. After spending most of my life in that room, I was well aware of the cameras in each corner, but several of displays contained views I was completely unaware of, including a clear view of the vent that I had escaped through. A chill ran down my spine as I thought about just how closely I was being watched, and the chill intensified when I noticed the watcher himself sitting in a chair in the center of the room, cloaked in shadow save for his glowing eyes. I tightened my stance and the man stood up from his seat. The overhead lights faded in and I had my first direct look at Cain that hadn't been broken by glass or digitization since he had taken me. He seemed so much bigger back then, but he was still a couple heads taller than me. I was conflicted. I knew what he had done was a terrible thing to do to another person, but I was also aware that there were many people out there that had it worse than I did. He had never touched me, or abused me. Well, except for the whole BSI operation, but there are much worse things that he could have done. In a way, if Pixa was my mother, then Cain was the closest thing I had to a father. I still wanted to kill him. "It is time," Cain said. Behind him, the displays changed to multiple another. "You have a choice before you, though I believe you have already made your decision. All that is needed now is to commit." Hearing his voice, it seemed to me that he was also conflicted. It was confirmed when I lunged at him knife first. He caught my hand but hesitated to strike back. I took the opportunity to grip his wrist and dip to slide through his legs, flipping him forward and onto his back. It may have been his age, but the man didn't seem to resist, even when I moved on top of him and pinned his arms to the ground with my knees. The look in Cain's eyes as he gazed at me from the floor said more than he could have said with words, especially since I didn't give him the opportunity to speak. I raised the knife high above me and forced it down with all of my might, sinking every millimeter of the blade into his chest. The visage of agony on his face was without regret. He seemed almost proud, but also relieved that his life was coming to an abrupt end.
It all seems nice and good. Alrighty, Matt, I hope you're able to, get some nice rest. If you're still awake in 10 minutes, go send Nathan some happy birthday messages. He's also sleeping. But, it's his birthday tomorrow. I also recognized surprise, but I wasn't sure whether was... No, he's asleep, so he already told me he's not gonna be able to join the stream. But you could always send him a message on Discord or in his channel. Dun, dun, dun. Alright, man. Thanks for stopping in. I hope you have a good rest of your night. I also recognized surprised, but I wasn't sure it was... Because... on the rushing him swiftly, or from not fighting back. Lack of fighting back. Usable to fight back. Ba-do-do. Ba-do-do. Dun, 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 dun. Happy birthday, Nathan. It is your birthday, and I hope you have a good one. What is going on, Bugsick Bunny? Welcome in. How are you doing today? Welcome to the channel, where I sit here and just look in my text for a long time. Often. Okay, but I wasn't sure whether it was from me rushing him so quickly, or his refusal to fight back. Refusal is the wrong word. From his inability to fight back. Nice, I'm glad to hear you're fine. What are you up to? You do a lot of, watch a lot of writing streams, or... I don't just generate pictures, but I do that, yes. Primarily what I'm doing, is I'm writing a story here on the left. The story is a science fiction story. And basically I'm generating images of the character on the right. The main character of the story. Obviously, some of the generations are going to be a little bit closer than others, but I generate a decent amount of them, and then I'll go and kind of select which ones I think are best and put them in a little collection, or not so little collection. I wonder how many I have. Actually, that is a good question. For the whole story, 609 files. Each file, that's 609 files. That's 609 images, and of just this character, her name is Naomi, I have... Well, actually, I have way more than this, just the character in this segment of the story. I have... 36 images of little Naomi, plus about 5 I show these heroes only once. No, they're the story is called Hopeless by me, Benny Kill 709. And I'm on chapter 16 of there's going to be 27 chapters. And it's in 3 different time periods. 3 different parts, basically, that it's jumping between. Chapter 1 takes chapter 1 and every 5 chapters after that. Chapter 1, Chapter 6, Chapter 11, and then Chapter 16 all take place in Part 1, about the main character's history. And then alternating every other chapter here. Part 2 is kind of the middle of her life, and then Part 3 is, I don't necessarily want to say the end of her life, but yeah. And it basically jumps between those 3 time periods. So right now, Naomi is, quote unquote, graduating from her assassin training. It's interesting. How is it able to show the same hero twice with the image generator? How does it save hero's face and use it in several pictures for his story? Is it real? What do you mean, is it real? You're watching it get generated right now, and it's very anime style right now. But right here is the prompt that I use to describe Naomi. And so it looks like code, but it's pretty easy to parse. It's in an anime style. It's gonna either have futuristic or cyberpunk, and it's a Nevesian Liechtensteiner young woman or teenage girl with green eyes, red hair, with a random hairstyle. And she's either going to have an angry, serious, stoic, or determined expression. It's going to take place indoors. It's got an indoor setting. And it'll choose from any of these descriptions. Sterile white room, faintly glowing walls, sleek recessed bed, etc., etc. So, basically, they're all the prompt is describing the character, and when I generate her again, it just makes another image, but it's based on this this prompt right here. Each generation pulls another different a set of stuff that I put in here, and generates a prompt based on that. Like this one that it's generating right now, I can't see exactly what it says. But right now I'm generating 25 images in a row, and then once all 25 of them are finished, I'll actually go through and look at each one of them in full size. And then I'll choose which ones I really like to keep. And yeah. And it keeps the generation in here, so like I don't have to write it every single time. It just generates based on this and selects some random stuff, stuff that I specifically select as random. How many heroes are in this story? There's Naomi that carries through all 3 parts. And I don't know if I would really necessarily consider her a hero. She does some terrible things. But she's one of the main characters. And then we have Estrella in part 3. And Eden, also in part 3. And then we have Dell in part 2. So basically like 4 main characters. And in fact, I don't know if Dell is really considered a main character either. But he's pretty prominent in the second part of the story. So I would say, yeah, there's 4 main characters, but there's a bunch of minor characters, minor interactions as well. Hey there, Y. Welcome. How are you doing today? How are things going? Do, 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 do. I didn't wait. For him to recover from his stunned state. Even with a okay. With a deep large shard of plasteel. What is to describe blade? That's not really helping. Even a large shard of plasteel. Pressed deep into its core. Couldn't be. I wasn't sure that he was. Sure that he was down for the count. I don't want to use that. As the rat was neutralized. I pulled the blade from his chest. And again, raised it above me, and again forced it back down into them. Then I did it again. Over and over. Not sure how many times I stabbed him. I just know that at some point. The knife slipped. I sliced open my palm. But I just threw it aside. Man, I want to listen to a licensed song right now. That's what I'm gonna do, but it's gonna be on YouTube. And you guys aren't gonna hear it. Do-do-do. Or without. Continued to palm his face. Golden man. Was unrecognizable. Unrecognizableness of blood, flesh, and bone. Dun-dun-dun. Do-do-do. Do-do-do-dun-dun-dun. What's it looking like? What's the weather looking like? Dun, dun, dun. Ooh, the leaves are starting to fall, huh? Nice. Nice and cool. Yeah. It's been cooling down for me as well. I work a night shift, graveyards, doing security, and so part of the job is I have to spend a lot of time outside in my vehicle, and for the past several months it's been brutal. even late at night, but it has finally started getting cooler earlier in the morning, so I'm actually gonna have to start bringing my jacket to work. In fact, I have to work tonight. What are the temps gonna look like? Last night it got to probably around 60 where I am. Doodle-doo-doo. The low point looks like it's gonna get to 64 Fahrenheit tonight where I am. $51. one I think I only stopped. I passed out. Next. I need to use the term I saw red at some point. Juggernaut? Which version of Juggernaut am I using? V8. Not only I'm sure I only stopped when I passed out, as I woke up later, laying on the floor next to him, to his corpse. Alright, I think that part is done. A scene. What's the next scene? Oh my god. Why did I call them parts? These are scenes. This one is pretty good. I realized I stood looked over my work and realized also finally noticing that I was covered in blood. Noticed covered in blood, both his and my own. Only noticed the wound in my hand. Try to pick up my knife. In that moment, finally felt free. was a rush of excitement mixed with a fear, not knowing what I'm going to do now. Or if I or whether I was now simply stuck in a slightly harder prison. Having just killed the only person that might be able to get me out. Okay, I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it there, but I want to select and save one of these. I think I like that one the best. So, let's save that. Alright. Well, at this point, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. I want to thank everybody for watching. I actually made some progress today. A decent amount compared to how it's been for a while now. If you're on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. Check out patreon.com/BennyKill709 or buymeacoffee.com/BennyKill709. Either of these places will allow you to support me, BennyKill709, for whatever the heck it is that I do here. Thanks again, and I hope you have a good rest of your time zone.